Hey there, and welcome to the Digital Nomad Family Podcast. This is the place where families who have or want to have a nomadic lifestyle come together to talk about the highs and lows that this life brings. We celebrate the joys and support each other in the hard. So, if you are a digital nomad family, or will be in the future, this is the place for you. We're glad you're here. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Digital Nomad Family Podcast. My name is Marissa, and that sound, very relaxing waterfall sound that you heard at the intro of today's episode is actually from the location we're going to be talking about today, which is Los Chorros in San Salvador, El Salvador. And I am really excited about this topic because I haven't yet talked about something specific that my family has done as a nomadic family, because sometimes, I struggle with the idea of sharing exactly what we're doing, because if you're anything like me, you don't like to do something just because someone told you to do it. And sometimes I feel like that is how being a digital nomad can be. Like, we go to this country and we all do the same things. And then we go over to this country and we all do the same things. And so I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I just don't want to talk about it because you guys already know about it. And so I've kind of been holding myself back from talking about specific things we've done because I'm like, they already know about that. They can do the research and they can figure it out and find the best way to do it for themselves. But I had to talk about Los Chorros with you guys for several reasons. One of them being it's not talked about that often. It is. Like, if you look up things to do in San Salvador, you will find Los Chorros. But there's not a lot of information. And even when you go to if you Google Los Chorros and then it comes up and you go to the website, it takes you to the El Salvador, what would be reminiscent to in the United States, the National Parks website. And so it's not necessarily a specific website for that park. And I was like, you know what? I really just want to share some thoughts I had about our time in Los Chorros because it was great. And had I known some of this stuff beforehand, maybe I would have been a little bit more prepared, or just, and I would have enjoyed it more because we had a great time. But I just want to share some of the stuff that we learned about Los Chorros with you guys. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's a national park, very close. It's about 25 to 30 minutes driving, depending on where you are in San Salvador. And it's a super easy day trip. And so I just kind of want to share some tips and a little bit about this location in today's episode. So that's what we're going to talk about. Before we get into that, I want to say thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed lately. That's kind of been the past couple episodes. We've been talking about subscribing because, and this isn't original to me, I heard another podcaster say this, and I really appreciated it, and I feel like I connect with it really well. Marissa, I don't personally need you to subscribe to the podcast or leave a review for my own ego, but the algorithm needs you to, because that is how it is shared with other people. And so I'm not sitting here asking you to go and subscribe and leave a review so I feel better about myself. I really, really like you guys, but I definitely have my security in my relationship with God and with my family. I feel very secure as who I am, but I would love to get to grow the audience for the podcast, and it just excites me when I see it growing. So that makes me really happy. And we're kind of in a little bit of a growth spurt right now, and that makes me excited for all the people we could potentially be helping and connecting with. And I love the idea of digital nomad families coming together because we are such a unique subcategory in this travel space because, as you know, traveling with a family is very different from you just getting on a plane yourself, and very different from like you and your spouse or you and your friend or just you and maybe one other person getting on a plane. And the fact that we're bringing along minors, like children, right? That changes the game significantly. And so I am really excited about the idea of this community growing, because the more we can connect, then the more we can support each other as parents, as adults. And then I think it would be so fantastic down the road to create a space for our kids to connect, right? So that the teenagers don't feel alone as digital nomad teens, so that the younger kids understand, oh, there are other kids living this life as well. And so working together to create a safe space for kids to connect with other kids, and then adults to connect with other adults and parents. And I just love that idea so much. It really excites me. So I really appreciate anytime you subscribe, anytime you leave a review. That blows my mind when anytime anyone writes something about it. It makes me so happy. Or a rating. It really helps the algorithm in all of the podcasting worlds see that, oh, people care about this, so I should show it to other people. So thank you so much for that. And I just wanted to take a minute and let you know that I appreciate it and I see it and I value it. So thank you. Okay, let's talk Los Chorros. Like I said, it is a national park, and it's very near to the city of San Salvador. Depending on where you are leaving from, for us, Google said 16 minutes drive, but you factor in traffic, and I think it took us a little closer to 30 because there was definitely something happening on the Pan American Highway, and you have to get there from the Pan American. And then coming back, it's going to take you a little bit longer because you can only turn right out of the parking lot of Los Chorros, because the Pan American, it's a major highway, and that's what you are entering. And so even though to come back to El Salvador, you need to go left out of the parking lot, you can't, because that's just too dangerous. They don't have it, like there's no stoplights or anything like that. And so you have to go right, you go up a little ways, and then they have a way for you to kind of do a clover leaf situation, and you can go back. So it is going to take you a little bit longer to get back to the city. Not a lot. I think it added maybe like 10 minutes, but totally worth it. Super easy drive. So I'll tell people this all the time. If you haven't driven in another country, El Salvador is where you want to go to get practice. I will encourage you to get if you're not comfortable driving a stick, you can rent a manual or an automatic, sorry. You can rent an automatic, which I would encourage you to do because San Salvador and the whole country of El Salvador, very hilly. So unless you are already comfortable driving a stick, get an automatic. Otherwise, you're going to be doing all the shifting and everything in a very hilly city, and that's not super fun. So, but it's pretty easy to rent an automatic. So if you have never driven in another country, this is a fantastic one because people follow the rules, and that is not always common in other countries. People follow the rules. The rules are very easy to understand. For us, they're very similar to the traffic laws in the United States. So if you're from the States, you're going to see very similar traffic laws. The worst thing about it is just the amount of traffic. So you might get stuck in rush hour or something like that, but it's such a small country that even their rush hour isn't terrible. So yeah, it's going to add some time, but you're just going to kind of slowly be moving and it'll be great. So I would encourage you, if you want to test out your sea legs on renting a car in another country, come on over to San Salvador. Totally a good place to start. So rent a car for your day trip to Los Chorros. Since it is a national park, it's really, really cheap. And for Salvadorians, it's $1.50 to get in. For non-nationals, it's $3. So because it's a national park. So same thing in the United States, like if you have a park membership, that kind of thing. So, or like a state park, if you can show a state ID, lots of times in the United States, you get in a little bit cheaper. So like we lived in the state of Virginia. And so if we went to a state park in Virginia and I showed them my Virginia's driver's license, I could get in cheaper than my friends from Pennsylvania or Ohio. Same thing here. So for us, it was $3, and then it's $1 to park your car, but it's all day parking. It's not like $1 per hour or anything like that. It's just $1 to park. We got there at 8:00, which we left our house around 7:30. We might have got there like 8:10, but we were the first ones there. And the people were like, oh, you're the first ones to come into the pools today. And that was great. It was a titch chilly, but I loved having them empty because I was able to grab some really nice pictures. Because then later in the day, my picture taking was done. And I had them then. And 2, no one was in them. So I was able to kind of have free range for probably like 25 minutes. And the place is not big. It's not big at all. And so for 25 minutes probably, I had free range to just pop over wherever I wanted, grab some pictures, no one in the pool. It was fantastic. So if you care about getting pictures like that, try to get there at 8:00 on a weekday. We went on a Wednesday. Yeah, we went on Wednesday. And like I said, at 8:00, probably oh man, had we been a little bit faster in the changing rooms, I would have had a little bit more time, but we'll get to the changing room situation in a second. But if you care about getting some pictures with not a lot of people, if you don't, then just go whenever. But if you want to try to have it to yourself for a little bit, just get there for the 8:00 opening and you will be good to go on a weekday. The busiest day at Los Chorros is Sunday. So I would try to avoid Sundays and try to go on a weekday if you can. So the way it's set up is it has 3 different pools, and these pools it's natural water from the mountains. And so it's not heated or anything, but it's not super cold either. And El Salvador gets hot, and so it feels fantastic. It's water that you get used to really, really fast. And I am a water baby. So if I can say this, that like I enjoyed my time in the pools, I think almost anyone will. So they have 3 different pools. One of them has a little water slide. And it was super fun. My kids absolutely loved it. And then right with that pool, there's like a toddler splash zone. And the water maybe gets to like 2 feet, I would say. I did walk around in it, and it has like a little play area with little slides, and it's super cute. I did take many pictures, and I have posted a reel over on our Instagram about this. And so I would suggest popping over to our Instagram if you don't follow us there already and checking out. You can see the pictures of this place and get some more information like in writing if you want to see it in writing. So pop over there. On Instagram, we are at Family of Dashes, DASHES, Family of Dashes. And I'll also leave a link to our Instagram in the show notes. So pop over there if you want to see some pictures of all of this that I'm talking about. That might help you visualize it better. And so they have this like little, really sweet little kiddie zone that the little kids can play in. All of my kids were too big for that area, so we didn't spend a lot of time in that pool. And then the second pool is right next to the food, and we'll get to the food in a little bit. And this pool was very unique because it had fish in it. Now, some of the fish were kind of big. They didn't really bug you. Well, at least they didn't bug us. So I guess I shouldn't say they won't, but they didn't bug us. But the little ones, like the little minnows, there's steps to go down into the pool. And if you just stand on the steps or sit on the steps or whatever you do, they'll come over and they'll nibble at you. And so you know how fish pedicures have really become a thing? You can get one for $3 if you go to Los Chorros because you can just stand there and they will pick at your skin on your feet. And it is the weirdest feeling. we like kind of made it a challenge because I didn't love it's not that I didn't like it. It got to the point that it like kind of tickled and I could only take it for so long. Then I had to shake my feet a little bit to get the fish away. But we tried to like see who could bear it the longest. It was definitely Eric and Ryan. They won. They were in there for like, Ryan was in there for, oh man, probably like over 30 minutes with these fish just picking at his feet. So your feet get very smooth. So that's the second pool, and there's plenty of room to swim in that one. There's gorgeous waterfalls. I think in that one there's like a big waterfall on one side and then a couple smaller ones on the one side, and lots of room to swim. That one was the least busy as far as swimming goes, because I don't think people really like once they saw the little fish in there, it didn't become, I don't know, super crowded. So if you wanted to swim, I would suggest, I think that one was the best for swimming. And then if you walked up some stairs, you got to this third pool, and it had gorgeous waterfall, like huge waterfall. And this was deep. Okay. The one with the little fish in it, most of it was pretty shallow. I think my 16-year-old could stand in most of all of it. And I think the 10-year-old could stand in most of it as well. So, I mean, a good safe depth for that one. And then the one with the slide, it got a little deep over near the slide. So then like when you came in, you didn't get hurt, but then the majority of it was probably about 5 foot. But this third one on the top, it's very obvious. You have to walk upstairs to get to it. This one is deep. I don't know how deep, because if you haven't seen a picture of me, I have dreadlocks. And with dreadlocks, you don't want to get your hair wet every day. And this was I don't want to get my dreadlocks soaked type day. And so they did kind of get a little bit wet, but I didn't go all the way under with my hair. And so my kids did, and they kept saying how deep it was, and they could like jump in and touch the bottom. So I'm guessing maybe around 8 foot, maybe 9 in some places. So this one was deep. So like if your kids really want to go and do some cannonballs, or people were doing backflips off of some of the things and diving in, this was totally safe for that kind of play. So if you're looking for that, walk up the stairs to the third pool, and that one is deep enough. So as far as safety goes, now that like I've talked about how deep these pools are, you are allowed to bring in things to have in the pools. Like you can take a floaty for your kid. They can wear a little life vest. You can do that kind of stuff. So if you have younger kids and you're nervous about them in the water, just take a little floaty. Totally fine to do. Totally acceptable. So as far as I know, I said we'd get to the bathrooms. So let's kind of shift into talking about those. You do have to wear a swimming suit to go swimming in the pools. I personally think they play it fast and loose with what is a swimming suit. I saw a girl in denim jeans, and I'm like, that's not a swimming suit. But it is posted that you have to have a swimming suit. So I personally think they would be within their rights to ask you to not swim if you weren't in something that wasn't a swimming suit. They also sell swimming suits there. So if you're like, oh man, I don't have a suit, they actually sell them. There's a little shop. I didn't look at the prices of them, but I mean, it's better to just grab one there, I guess, if you don't have one. So they do have them there, and you do have to wear a suit. It's posted that you have to wear a suit. Again, they were letting people in that were very, very, in my opinion, not in swimming suits. Maybe in some places, denim shorts is considered swimwear. In the United States where I'm from, not so much. But so they do have a place to buy a swimming suit if you need one. So as far as bathroom goes and getting ready to get in the pools, they do have, when you first walk in, right there, they have changing rooms, bathrooms, and they have several bathrooms all in the park. So like if you have a younger kid that really needs to get to a bathroom fast, you will be able to get to one quick. It's not a big space, and they had 3 very strategically placed bathroom areas. So you're good to go on that. In the changing rooms, when you first enter the park, and those ones there, they do have showers and they have toilets. The toilets are very typical. They have a door, totally fine. However, the showers do not have shower curtains. So if you want to plan on using them as changing places, you might want to have someone like holding up a towel in the doorway or something. Or just like standing guard, like at one of the ones in the back. But they do have showers there. But they're not private shower. They do have walls in between the individual shower stalls. There's just no shower curtain. I hope I'm explaining this well. I hope you can visualize it. So like you walk in, and you are surrounded by 3 walls, but then there is an open side. So if you just take a shower in your bathing suit, then not a big deal at all. But if you want to try to use it for changing, you might want to create a little more privacy, especially for kids. What I did with my kids, I just told them to change in a toilet stall because they had handicap. They had a handicap stall, so it was a little bit bigger. So I just said, hey, change in here. And we just made sure that no one actually needed that stall, and then we went really quick. So that's how we handled changing. With the idea of like what clothing do you need, I would suggest bringing your swimming suit, a towel, because you are going to want to be able to dry off a little bit, especially when you go to change. And something you might want to consider is either water shoes or flip-flops, because walking from one pool to the next, the ground is concrete and it gets hot because it's in the sun, and it gets really, really hot. So a couple of my kids had tennis shoes, and so like they get out of the pool and then they go and they slide their wet feet in their shoes, and like they're not putting them on properly, right? So now their shoes are getting wet and broken down because they're stepping on the backs of their shoes, right? So maybe just grab a little like cheap pair of flip-flops or even water shoes. Like if you don't like the idea of the fish nibbling at your feet, just grab a pair of water shoes and then you're good to go, and it'll eliminate that, and you'll be able to walk from pool to pool without having to worry about that. And you can go into the bathroom and not have naked feet on the bathroom floor, because no one wants that, right? Like that's just not okay. So I would suggest either getting flip-flops that are just super easy to flip on, flip off, whatever, or water shoes if you want to go that route. Also then bring your towel and bring your swimming suit, and they do have lockers there. We didn't use the lockers, but they do have lockers that you can rent. Or you can just kind of keep your stuff within eyesight. That's what we did. We just kind of kept an eye on our stuff. Not a big deal. I felt really safe of my stuff. It was fine. But they do have lockers there to keep like your wallet, that kind of stuff. So that kind of then leads us into the food part of it. And should you bring food or not bring food? We opted to not bring food. I had been very busy in the week, like leading up to going, and I was like, oh, we're not gonna worry about bringing food. I had heard from different people that Los Chorros had food you could buy. So I was crossing my fingers because I was researching it online and I couldn't find anything hardcore about it. So I'm here to tell you, yes, you can buy food in Los Chorros. You are also welcome to bring your own. But like I said, I had been super busy and I didn't have time to like plan a picnic, but that would make your day even cheaper, right? Like if you just made up some picnic food, you'd be super set. They have like a eating area, and you do have to eat in the eating area, but again, this place is pretty small. So like if you wanted to take a break and eat and your kid wanted to stay in the pool, unless they were at like the deep one that you had to walk up the stairs, you'd be able to see them in either the pool with the slide or the pool with the little fish. You'd be able to see them depending on where you sit. So super convenient, super family friendly. And so, like I said, we bought food there. So I'm just going to tell you the prices and you can kind of make your own decisions. So we bought food from 3 different stalls. I think there were a total of 6 different stalls, and we bought food from 3 of them just to kind of try and give you guys a little taste, if you will, of what they had there. So at one, we bought some fried fish and a large pop. I think it was a 1 1/4 liter, which was, and then we just got 6 cups. That was plenty of pop for all of us. And that was $8. So for the fried fish, and it came with fish, rice, and tortillas, which the tortillas here are very different. It's very thick, but they're really delicious. But don't have in your head like a Mexican tortilla. It's different, but they're delicious. So we got the fish, the rice, and tortilla, and then a large pop for $8. And that was the most expensive one. It was also, in my opinion, as a grown-up, the most delicious. So if I were to go back, or if you were to ask me, like, Marissa, what should I eat when I'm there? When you walk in and you're at the picnic area, go to the one on the far left. They're like the fish one, okay? And if I was going to go back, what I would probably think is the most delicious thing, and I didn't eat this, so like don't hold me to it, but I'm guessing they have shrimp scampi there. We didn't buy it because it was $10, and I was like, I don't want to spend $10 just to try it. But like if I just wanted to have a nice day, I would totally go to the restaurant on the far left and get the shrimp scampi. It smelled delicious. They were making it fresh. It looked really, really good. But like I said, that was $10. And I didn't feel like spending that. But the fish from there was good. Then the one in the next one over. So if you go one to the right, and again, if you go over to our Instagram, you'll see these pictures. From this place, we got chicken. This chicken was nothing to write home about. It was chicken and rice and tortilla. And it was fine. It was fine. I would not recommend it unless you have a child that likes the most bland chicken and just that's what they want. Like they just want, it wasn't boiled, but it almost like felt that way. But it was $5.50 for chicken, rice, tortilla, and a pop, like a small individual pop. Or no, that didn't have a pop. Just the chicken and rice and tortilla. Sorry about that. $5.50 for that. I would skip that personally. The second one over. So again, we're starting at the left. Like if you're looking at it, the first one is at the far left, and then the second one is going to be the chicken one. Personally, I would just skip that stall. Yeah. Then the next stall, we got a burger meal and a pizza meal. Each of these were $4, and the burger meal came with a burger, French fries, and a drink, like an individual size pop. And the pizza came with a decent size slice pizza. It wasn't like skimpy. It wasn't like huge, like a monster slice, but it was a decent size pizza slice, fries, and another like can of pop. And those were each $4. All of my kids said that they would go for one of those again, like if we went back to Los Chorros. So $4 for a burger meal or a pizza meal, that's really not that bad. Because you get, like I said, you get the pizza or the burger, fries, and a drink. So, hey, $4, I'll do it. And they all really liked the pizza or the burger. Eric and I both said if we went back, we would probably splurge to try the shrimp scampi from the first place. Because it just really smelled good. So that is the food situation there. You can also bring your own. So if those prices, if you're like, I don't want to spend $4 for a burger, totally get it. But if you want to have just a day where you don't have to think about the food, it's not a big deal, then there's kind of like a ballpark on the prices. Those are pretty average as well. So I think it's fair to plan. You'll probably spend on average $5 per person. Maybe some places you'll spend more, especially if you get something like shrimp scampi. But like I said, it smelled really good, guys. So that is a little bit about the food there. So one last thing I want to make sure I tell you about is the slide. It's not a very predictable schedule. So like when it's on, let your kids play on it, I would say, because we were getting ready to go. We had ordered our food and we were waiting for the food to come. And the kids were like, oh, can we go down and play on the slide for a little bit more? Because after we ate, we were going to be getting ready to go. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. Go ahead. So they go down and then they came back up and they were like, they turned it off. So there's no schedule posted or anything. So when it's on, enjoy it. And maybe don't say like I did, oh, you can play with it one more time before we leave. Cause it seemed to be decently unpredictable, as far as when it's on and when it's off. And since it's like it's not just like a traditional slide, it has water coming down it with the kids. It's really fun. We had a blast on it, but just play with it when you can and enjoy it. So that is my kind of breakdown of Los Chorros. And see, now you guys know why I don't do that this often. I don't do this often is talk about like places we go, because what's important to me might not be important to you. I did look to see if they had baby changing stations in any of the bathrooms. They didn't, but like that kind of stuff is a total afterthought for me because I don't have babies anymore. So if you have a baby, you might have to, you'll be changing the baby like on the ground or on your lap or something like that. So heads up for that. But I hope that this kind of gave you a little bit of insight into Los Chorros in San Salvador. We got there at 8. Well, it was like 8:10. And we left at 12:30. And I feel like we could have stayed there longer, but we were kind of doing like a day thing. And so we had to leave there to go to our next place. And so the kids want to go back. They really, really liked it. And for $3, I mean, if you get there and you don't want to stay super long, thankfully, like with only $3 a person, it doesn't feel like, oh, we have to stay there all day. Like when you pay like $25 per person, like you're like, we're getting our day's worth out of this, right? I think we all understand that feeling. But thankfully for just $3, you're like, oh, we were here for a few hours. It's $1 an hour. Hey, I'll take that. Good fun time. And so I hope that as you are thinking about coming to El Salvador, and if you're staying in San Salvador, I would definitely encourage you to check out Los Chorros. There are other water parks in this country, but this is just so unique and different because they are natural pools and it is super cheap. So you're not going to be paying that like the water park price. Now, again, the water parks aren't expensive, but this is a lot cheaper. Well, it's a bit cheaper, but it's much closer. At only like I said, the GPS said 16 minutes for us. It did end up taking a few more because of traffic, but whatever. So we had a really, really fun time. The kids said, if you're in El Salvador, you have to go to Los Chorros. So if you don't believe me, take the word of 4 nomad kids. They had an absolute blast there. So I hope that this was helpful to you. If you have any questions, please shoot me an email or a message on Instagram, and I will try to answer it as best I can. So yeah, if you have ever been to Los Chorros, I would love to hear what you thought about it, and did you have as fun of a time as we did? And yeah, I hope that you guys are all doing well. I hope that you found some value out of this. And as always, I hope you continue to travel joyfully.